take God outside of the box you have him in and watch him transform you and speak to you in ways you have never experienced. And I can say this because I know from experience. I've always believed in God and I've always been somewhat connected to God because ever since I was a kid, I've always been intuitive. I've always had prophetic dreams. But I used to have a very small and limited perception of God. I didn't fully understand God, and that was due to religion. I viewed God as a human. Therefore, I put human limitations on him. I couldn't fathom how I could pray for something, and there's billions of other people on the planet, and at least millions who are also praying for things too. He can't possibly answer all of us. He doesn't have the capacity to answer all of our prayers. There's not enough blessings to go around. I was viewing God as this scarce, limited God who was also vengeful and wrathful and scary and a dictator. And that is not who God is at all. Because I had this subconscious belief that there was only so many blessings to go around. I figured in my mind, God just has favorites. He just has favorites, and those are the people's prayers that he answers. And when I would pray, I would only pray out of desperation. I would only pray as a last resort. Well, if God is real, and in case he is listening, let me go ahead and just pray and see what happens. But I didn't truly have faith. I didn't truly believe. So when I would pray, I would feel like I was just talking to myself, but I was hoping there was a higher force listening. But I didn't truly believe. And me knowing God the way that I know God now, and me understanding God the way that I understand him now, I realized he was always listening. I just wasn't listening to him because I didn't recognize his voice. I didn't recognize all the different ways that he speaks because I just had him in this little Christian box. You have to understand, God goes beyond Christianity. He goes beyond religion in general. He goes beyond culture. He goes beyond race. He goes beyond, God is even beyond gender. God ain't even a he. You might hear me say he, but God is not a he or a she because God is not a person. He doesn't belong to a physical body. He's not a physical being. He is a spiritual being. He is a force that we can't even fully define or describe. That's how big God is. I've listened to countless amount of near-death experiences where people were pronounced dead. Their heart stopped beating. They had no pulse or anything. Or they were in a coma and the doctors pronounced them a vegetable. And when they talk about being on the other side, what they all have in common when they describe God is that God wasn't a person. God was a force. God was an energy. God was a light. And a lot of times they say he because they say that his energy was so powerful and overwhelming that it felt masculine. But they also describe God having a feminine side too, as far as being nurturing. And that just goes to show right there that you really cannot put God in a box. Now here's the thing, even though God is not human, he speaks to us in human ways that we can understand. A lot of times we just overlook it and write it off as coincidences. And here's the thing, because God can speak to you in a human way that you can understand, you can speak to God like you would speak to another human and he will understand. It's all about having your own personal relationship with him. You don't have to put on this performance. When you pray, it doesn't have to be this performative act where you use certain words. Heavenly Father, I come to you right now humbly saying, no. God sees everything you do. He hears everything you say. He knows everything you think. So why you got to put on a front or a facade for God? Just be real. God respects realness. God respects genuineness. When you pray, you have to speak from your heart. You have to be completely vulnerable and naked with God. There should be nothing off limits with God. You should be able to talk to God about anything. I don't understand when people be like, oh, you can't pray about that. You shouldn't talk to God about that. Why not? He already knows everything. You should talk to God like he's your best friend in the whole wide world who gives the best advice and has all the answers, because guess what? He does. What's really going to help you recognize when God is speaking is constant prayer and meditation. And in your waking hours, when you're going about your day, make sure you're paying close attention to your surroundings, because guess what? That's how God speaks to us too, through our surroundings. It could be a license plate. It could be a video you stumble across on social media. It could be something somebody got on their shirt. God speaks to us in so many ways, but it's so subtle, and you have to be paying attention in order to catch it. Make it your duty to be in God's presence every single day and watch Him work wonders in your life. And always remind yourself, God can make anything happen because there are no limits to God. Even though I can't conceive in my human little mind how God is going to make something work or how God is going to answer a certain prayer, that ain't none of my business because I'm not God. I love you guys. I pray this message was helpful. If it was, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe. If you need spiritual guidance, life advice, I do offer coaching sessions. The link will be in the description box, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.